Swaha. Welcome to a topic called relationships. And it's on Valentine's Day, February 14th of 2024 is when I'm doing this this video on real. So perfect day to do a topic on relationships. Relationships in astrology are very complex. I would recommend this book in the series of the only way to learn astrology, relationships, volume 5. It gives you all the details, because this can, as you know, analyzing one person's chart is one thing, but now you can analyze two. They call this the overlay chart, where you put one birth chart on to the other and see how they're aspecting and interacting with one another. And a lot of astrologers kind of shy away from relationship readings because they're so long. I mean, if I do a really good natal reading, and get to most of just for one person, it'll take 4 hours of research. So if you add another person in there, you're looking at 6 hours to 8 hours of work. It's a lot of work. So that's why you see some of the pricing on relationship readings from astrologers being pretty high. I think the average like $300. But I wanted to talk about some of the compatibilities that you can look for in relationship charts. And one of them is the sun-moon conjunction. So I have my sun in Pisces. So if I was to get involved with someone who had their moon in Pisces, and they were close enough to form a conjunction within 7 degrees, 8 degrees, that would be a very good relationship, very spiritual, ultra sensitive. Couples who have a sun-moon conjunction, research has shown their marriages last the longest. And of course, you have to take everything else into consideration. But that's a very good start if you have a sun. If you don't find, there are other things that you can look at. Look at the aspects between Venus and Mars. Those are the romantic planets. Mars being more physical, your physical expression. Venus being more your tenderness, your beauty, your friendship, And if these aspects between the charts are trine or sextile or conjunct, that's very good. If you have a lot of squares and oppositions between two people in a chart, it may be a tough relationship. The other thing to listen to is Kuja dosha. I have Taylor Swift has that, and other celebrities, and I have it too. 40% of people have Kuja dosha, and Kuja dosha is Mars. This is Vedic now from India. Mars in the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, the 8th, or the 12th house causes Kuja dosha, or domestic disharmony. So people who get married who have Kuja dosha before the age of 29, 30, they have an 80% chance of getting divorced. So what the Vedic astrologers do is they marry somebody else who has Kuja dosha. So both partners have it, and it kind of delays it and offsets it. This I talk about in the video that I've done here on YouTube with Kuja dosha. So I'm not going to go into detail about that in great detail. Opposites attract. You often hear that. Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sagittarius, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, Virgo, Pisces. These are the signs that can be they're learning from one another. They're opposite. So what one sign has, the other doesn't, but what the other sign has, the other one doesn't. So they kind of become good friends and try to help create balance in their life. So that can be very, very good. Opposites do attract. The sun-moon opposition is another thing that can be also in that same preference of learning from one another. Mars and Venus, again, look at those planets because they're gonna say a lot. Look at the 5th house. The 5th house is the house of romance. So that's where you gamble. It's also the house of gambling. You're taking a chance. That's the dating house. Then it moves in a little bit more seriously into the 6th house and matures into the 7th house of one-to-one partnerships or marriage. So look at the rulerships of those houses, especially the 5th and the 7th. and see where they're placed and how they're aspecting your chart. That may give you some information on the kind of person that you're looking for. Example, in my chart, I have Saturn ruling my marriage house because it's Capricorn ruling the 7th house, which means I would want somebody who's more mature and someone who, grown up kind of thing. So my marriage for 14 years before my wife passed away from breast cancer 15 years ago, she was 4 years older than me. So I got into marrying someone mature. Now, the opposite thing can happen in my moon. My moon placement's in Leo, and then I have Uranus conjunct Leo. Now, Uranus is the younger generation. So then there's another part of me that really wants a girl who's, out there and kind of outgoing Leo, but maybe younger than me. But now that hasn't, I had one relationship where she was 4 years younger than me, but that's the youngest that I've gone. So that can be another indication, looking at Uranus, the young one, and Saturn, the older person, in terms of age differences. Sometimes age differences can be transcended via what they call a soul twin relationship. These are relationships, not always, you used to see quite an age difference between two people. Sometimes, most of the time, it's not because they're soul twin, but you can't have a relationship that kind of doesn't look normal in society due to chronological age. And so the soul twins are, you have basically an oversoul that fragmented into 12 parts, 6 male, 6 female. So you have 11 other soul twins. Soul twins are not always romantic. So I had a soul twin relationship with my grandmother. And then a soul mate relationship can turn into a soul twin relationship, kind of like with my mother, And so, the soul twin relationships are supposed to be the more graceful and more spiritual relationship because they're more of a deeper reflection of who you are. You cannot find a soul twin relationship in an astrological chart, just to let you know. So only the soul can feel the soul of a soul twin. It's not always a guarantee. The only guaranteed relationship that you're going to have, and I'm going to be 66 years old, March 3rd, of this year, 2024, is with yourself. Okay, that's your guaranteed relationship. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. They may feel like being alone. Oh my God, I don't want to. But the silence and the bliss that you experience within, that's going to be the foundation to real happiness, is my point, real joy in life. Trying to find joy and happiness in somebody else, that's very difficult, especially when we're not brought up spiritually. Okay, where we're just starting a spiritual revolution on this planet that has been lost for 30,000 years. So, most parents don't know how to teach their children meditation and all kinds of things. So, when you date, if you're very spiritual, it's kind of hard to hold on to that, isn't it? I mean, the other person may not be, committed to that. They may make fun of you if you meditate, for example. They may find that some of your ways of doing things are, you believe in UFOs and or whatever, you meditate every day and that's why you do this wrong, or it gets complicated. So you want to try to be with somebody who's compatible with you, obviously. And the compatibility, again, sun, moon conjunction, sun, moon opposition, opposite signs attract, Venus and Mars doing wonderful aspects to the sun, the moon, to Mercury. Mercury is the communication planet, so you want to be able to discuss things and be able to have a good level of communication. The signs that are very independent and have a harder time kind of getting intimate, all right, are Aries, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Aquarius. They tend to be, not that the other signs don't have this tendency, but they have a tendency more to want their own self-empowered, to want their individual freedom, and therefore they're more open and they want to travel, especially Sagittarius. Sagittarius is known to be the bachelor or the bachelorettes of the zodiac. So they have a hard time kind of they feel confined. Marriage is a very simplistic kind of energy where you do the same thing over and over again. The other thing that I want to mention, the 7th house is the house of open enemies. So, I mean, the 12th house is the secret enemies, but the seventh house is, oh, then that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, after a while, you're with each other and you either become closer through time, through the mistakes that you make and the things that you're trying to work on, or, you could end up in court, and fighting for money from the other person. The person that was supposed to be your true love and best friend all of a sudden becomes your enemy. So the seventh house is the house of open enemies. That ought to make you think, right, about relationships and marriage. So those are the independent signs. They can, Taylor Swift. I'm using her example because she's popular today. There's, I'm not trying to pick on her. She's a good person. She has the Sag energy. I think her sun is in the 12th, if I'm not mistaken, which is the Pisces. So Sag Pisces. But she, has a hard time. She has Kujidosha too. So keeping a relationship, and that's okay because that's what she's supposed to be experiencing in this lifetime. Maybe in a past life she didn't date anybody, and she wasn't noticed at all. In this lifetime she's getting all the attention. So you find the balance in that. Astrology doesn't have all the answers for relationships, okay? So go with your gut feeling, and astrology is not a perfect science. It's been really manipulated and gone underground. The Church of England, of course, said that astrology was really the part of the devil's work. So it hurt a lot of astrologers. Then you have all the floods and all the changes that have gone on and washed away a lot of knowledge. The Vedic tradition of India was another Jyotish astrology, but all of their systems, Gandharva Veda, Ayurveda of health, it all got manipulated by other races and then also washed. So over time, my point is we're trying to rediscover astrology. So you have to analyze it a lot and experiment with your own cycles of your own chart and everything else, which would help you understand yourself more, which helps you to understand others more and have relationships that are more healthy. The other thing I wanted to say was that if you're a Pisces born in America, it's different than being a Pisces born in India or Italy or Africa or some other country, because the cultural expression of that sign may be different. It may be more suppressed, it may be more liberal, it may be more open. So take that into consideration. But the overlay charts, they put them on top of each other and see how they aspect. That is the start of your relationship. So if you're dating somebody in the first few months, it's the overlay. The composite chart is over the whole length of time. So if you I have that chart, if you want to buy it, it's I think $15 now. But it's a really easy way to read about the aspects between two people and see if there's more trines or sextiles rather than squares or oppositions, or there's a nice balance between all of them. Having Venus trine the moon is very nice between two people, something very, very pleasant and friendship, good friendship. So, and then there's the sexual ones that are more physically oriented, Mars, so if there's a square and oppositions, there could be some tug and pull. Pluto can be obsessive, so you want to be careful about obsessive relationships and that sort of thing, and not get yourself lost in someone else's stuff all the time. Because life is hard enough, isn't it, having a relationship with yourself and learning about the lessons that you need to learn about. So having a relationship with somebody else, it gets even more complicated. So make sure you're at least halfway balanced here. Meditation is a wonderful way to balance your own inner consciousness so that it helps you with having a relationship. I've been terrible at relationships, to be honest with you. I just think I failed at them at this point. I think I have a terrible chart for relationships and money. And I have a great chart for spirituality and religion and everything else, but I have, it's just really tough for me to find somebody. I may at this point, but I'm getting older. I'm going to be 66, so I don't got that much time left to live anyhow. And I'm way out there, as you can tell from my YouTube channel. Subscribe, yay! Click a like, yay! Tell your friends. Yay. I think that I covered enough on relationships. Happy Valentine's Day. It's February 14th, 2024. And I wish you all the best in your journey in relationships. So namaste. Om Swaha.